Okay, as you gather to around the table and you get all set for tomorrow for Thanksgiving, your children might need a little help understanding that this meal, it's a little bit different than all the others, and manners are very important. So here to help us out is Elise McVeigh. And Elise, you have some ideas of how we can talk to the kids about their manners maybe before they sit down at the table.
Yeah, I have 3 children, and at this point they're 11, 13, and 15, but especially when you have small children, something that we would always do is, obviously Thanksgiving is tomorrow, so you've sort of missed the boat on practicing all year round, but we would at least, before we got out of the car, sort of reviewed a few tips. Things such as, let's say you're going to grandma's house and other family members are going to be there or friends, maybe go over how to meet someone. You know, we always say have a firm handshake, good eye contact, and a clear and loud enough voice, because kids tend to look down and act very shy. And then have good table manners. If you haven't been practicing all year round with forks and knives, maybe today would be a good time to get them out and just sort of go over not only cutting and, you know, not stuffing your mouth with everything, but what's appropriate to discuss at the table, how to wait until everyone's finished before you ask to be excused, different things like that.
And the holidays can be stressful for kiddos, and you know, tantrums happen, maybe some meltdowns. As a parent, how do you handle those situations? Because you're around family, it can get a little embarrassing, right?
Oh, that's never happened to me.
Never.
What are your tips? Because all of us have been mortified. The food throwing, the swinging at your parents. What do you do at that point?
I always say that you get them out of there as quickly as possible.
True.
And so just say, excuse us, physically grab the child if you have to, take them aside and just say, this is completely unacceptable. We do not act like this. We're going to go back in there. You're going to apologize, and you're going to act like this, this, and this.
Because there's nothing worse than sitting at the table where you know this child is acting up and the parents are not doing anything about it, but counting or, you know, just kind of, well, maybe this will pass. And you're like, just take the child out of here and deal with it. Make everybody else comfortable.
Yeah, and forget about just around the family table when you're in a restaurant too. I was going to ask you though, for the family gathering, a lot of times the kids will be at a separate table, the kids' table, and the parents are over here at the parents' table. You sometimes don't see everything that's going on at the kids' table. So are there different manners for the kids' table?
I always say they should use the same manners anywhere they are, because if you don't, you just don't remember to use them. And so I think that if you can just preach to them that it needs to be consistent, needs to be on all the time. I don't care that you're on vacation. I don't care that it's the summertime. It doesn't matter if you're with the queen or with grandma. You need to have really good manners at all times.
I was going to ask about consequences. That's, you know, a big deal for us in our house when we're trying to get those kids' manners under control. Consequences. Can you use Santa? You know, Santa's coming. You better start watching that behavior. He's checking to see if you're being naughty.
I love that.
Is that appropriate?
Yes, I would say so. And the other thing I think that's very effective is taking things from them. So if they're old enough, they have a phone, or if they have the Xbox, toy, whatever it is, I think that really speaks to children. And then they sit there without the thing that they really want to be with, and they think, okay, next time I'm not going to do that. I'm going to act a lot better.
Now, in our household, you know, we have a child with special needs. He has his iPad all the time. Especially with the younger kids, you know, after standing around for 8 hours, they're just getting frustrated, and they start being 2-year-olds and 3-year-olds. Is it okay to show up at somebody else's house with an iPad, maybe even a DVD to use to kind of settle the kids down? Is that appropriate?
I would say that's okay, as long as it's not at the table. So, for example, when we go out to eat, if there's a wait, I'll let my children look at electronics, but the second that we get to the table, I tell them we're done.
That's good.
Because what I'm seeing is a lot of children now, they don't know how to talk to one another. And so if we're out to eat with some friends and my kids have their friends, they're at one end of the table, we're at the other end with the adults, I'll keep on looking over there and I'll say, get off your phones. Well, then they're off, but their friends are on. And so they're over there looking at their friends' phones. And they'll say, well, we're discussing what's on the phone. Well,
kids, they're so
future lawyers.
Yes, exactly.
And you're right. That's where you get them. It's right at the electronics. That's where you're going to get their attention.
Yes, to take those away.
And just reminding them, I think, too, that manners never go out of style. You'll never be sorry that you have them. We were sticklers with my kids about manners, so everything is yes, ma'am, yes, sir. And it's unfortunate that I don't see a lot of that anymore with younger kids. I don't hear yes, ma'am, yes, sir anymore. Is there a limit to what we what we're able to teach them now?
No, absolutely not. And the other thing I see a lot is in a lot of communities, instead of saying Mrs. McVeigh, they'll say Miss Elise. And I always tell my children, I don't care what the mom and dad have told you to call them. You have to call them Mr. and Mrs., whatever their title is, because I think that's very important and sort of along the same lines of being respectful. Yes, ma'am, no, sir. I think that it's, as you said, it never goes out of style. You just need to keep on going over it again and again and again.
I love this. I'm so glad that we have this segment because I think it's so very important. And like I said, you don't hear it that much anymore from kids, and you don't see them acting the right way at tables anymore.
Starting earlier before the day before Thanksgiving is probably a good idea.
It is, but you can still cram it in, so don't panic. I think as long as you set the expectations before you walk in the door, you'll have a lot better results.
Awesome.
Okay, Elise, thank you so much for being here.
Well, thanks for having me.
Appreciate that. Okay, we have more broadcast coming up next.